back to another week of Two Sheep in a Pool. My name's James.
My name's Ben.
How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah?
Nothing too exciting to report over the last week, but I'm good.
Just looking after the dog.
Looking after the dog.
Full-time
Same
job,
old
isn't it, really?
For the past month. It's
Yeah.
just all one deja vu-y blur.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you think you're training her, or do you think she's training you?
I'm definitely training her.
You sure?
Apart from when she's training me.
Yeah. That's the thing with dogs is, like, they watch you as much as you watch them, and they're like, oh, this behaviour elicits this behaviour from you. It's like, so if I do this, then I get a treat.
They're clever little shits.
Yeah, they are.
Which is good and bad.
For sure.
How many more weeks do you reckon we're going to open the podcast with something dog-related?
Oh, forever now.
I'm sure forever now.
Forever. This is now a dog podcast.
Okay. If you subscribe, then buckle up for a long doggy ride.
Two sheep and a dog in a pool.
2 sheep and a dog in a pool.
Yeah, and then when you have a kid, like 2 sheep, a dog, and a baby in a pool.
Is that like the cousin of 3 Men and a Baby? Is that the film from like 80s?
Are you thinking of 2.5 Men?
No.
Three men.
It's following. There's like some guys sharing a flat, and I think one day something happens. They end up with a baby. Maybe he's left on the doorstep, and then they take the baby in and they look after the baby and raise it. Have you not heard of that?
I've never heard.
It's got Tom Selleck, mustache man from Friends, Phoebe's.
Right, yes,
Monica's.
Yes.
Richard. That's what I'm looking for.
Yes,
he's in it.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
We'll review that. Maybe that can be our next film that we...
What a niche podcast.
Classic film. No, honestly, it was a big film.
Okay.
It's not like a niche one.
Oh, okay.
Take my word for it.
Right, Ben, have you heard of a tractor pull?
A what?
A tractor pull.
A tractor pull?
Yeah.
Like a tractor pulling something?
Yes, but it's an event. A tractor pull.
No.
Right, I have? No, I hadn't either until the previous weekend.
Until you heard of it.
Until I heard it. Exactly. And so I found out. So my mum and dad have a caravan, a very middle class, that they go to on the weekend. And this weekend there was...
That sounds so middle class.
It does, doesn't it? And there was a tractor pull on. I was like, I wonder what this is. And there was like signs for it. And I asked my girlfriend, I was like, what's a tractor pull? Like, what is that?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. And basically, we found out because once we got to the caravan, I think maybe from like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you could hear the tractor pulling. So
when hang on, you're talking as if one tractor pulling something.
So I think it's like, like the world's strongest man.
Yeah.
I think it's like that, but
the world's strongest tractor.
Yeah.
The little tractor that could.
Well, no, the big tractor that could. So it's
okay.
basically, I think from what I could work out is it's like a tractor's pulling this humongous weight.
Okay.
But what you hear them do is you just hear them revving massively.
Yeah.
So it was probably about a mile away from the caravan, but it sounded like it was directly out of the window. Like when the tractors were going, you couldn't have a conversation.
Really?
Because it was so loud.
It's like being at like F1 event where the engines are so loud you can't...
it was so unbelievably loud. And and we were just like, oh, it started up. And it'd go for about 30 seconds. I'm like... But it's like... like properly kicking off, and then like the thing would end, and you hear like woo, yeah, woo, just like little cheers.
Right. So this would suggest there is a tractor that wins.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
This sounds like a very British. I feel like you couldn't find it anywhere else than farmyards in England.
Well, my parents said it was an international event they were having.
Really?
But just because like one person from France came.
Yeah, it strikes me as, in the same way there's the cheese, throw the cheese down the hill and everyone chases it. That kind of sport.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bunch of idiots, sounds like. It sounds like proper farmers.
Yeah,
but anyway, it went on until
farmery.
quite, past 9 o'clock at night. It's quite
past
late.
Your bedtime, that.
Exactly.
I know.
Exactly. So I was a bit miffed. But from that was fine. So that's, I think I've got 1.5 complaints this week.
Was that the one or the half?
Yes. It was 0.75 of a complaint.
Okay. Well, I've got 0.34 of a complaint.
Okay.
In fact, actually, no, I have 0.10 of a complaint.
A tenth.
Yes.
Okay.
Decimate, the word.
Yes.
I feel like it's either officially shifted its meaning or people just use it far too loosely.
I think at this point, it used to mean a tenth.
Yeah.
Of something, like if your army got decimated.
Because I saw it in... I think it was a news report for something. They were like, absolutely decimated. And I was like, no, that would suggest 10% of it's being destroyed, not all of it, like they were using it. That's my complaint.
Okay. I think it's
No,
just,
it's not a complaint. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
a speculation that I've thought. I've seen it a few times and thought it's not used for what it should be used.
yeah. No, I think it's because it's quite a violent sounding word. Decimate is quite
Yeah, it's
you
true.
know when you don't think about what it actually means.
Yeah,
Because I think probably losing 10% of your army was probably a pretty
probably
bad.
a win. Oh, I thought you were going to say it's not that much. If they've destroyed 60% of the other army and they've lost 10%, they'd be like, "Yeah, we got decimated. That was great.
Yeah.
It's a win for us."
But if you went against a village and your army got decimated,
I suppose it depends on the context that you've been decimated.
it does. For sure. So yeah, I think it could probably be used both ways. I wonder if you checked it in the dictionary now.
Should we do that?
There'd be like, I bet there's like a formal and like informal way.
Should we have a look?
In the same way that literally doesn't mean literally anymore.
Oh, well, now it's listed in the first one that comes up: kill, destroy, or remove a large proportion of.
There you go.
So the meaning really has changed.
And then it's underneath historical.
Historical is
Kill 1 in every 10.
Well, I've been using it historically.
You idiot. Oh, it was used as a punishment for the whole group. So, for example, if the group had messed up, you'd decimate them. So you kill 1 in 10. Oh, horrendous.
Well, this turned into a very niche conversation, so moving on.
And the other one is, for me, is my hair. Right, not I like the look of my hair.
Okay.
But I also don't enjoy the look of my hair all over the bathroom, in the sink. Like, I now understand when I used to complain to girls that I lived with, like, why is there so much of your hair everywhere?
Mm-hmm. I complain about that frequently.
And now I understand that I feel like I'm getting alopecia. I feel like my hair is literally falling out all of the time.
I do wonder that. So every maybe month, I'll need to take apart the vacuum and cut away all the hair that's got caught up in it. And I think you must be molting at a rate that you're bald. How is it this much hair?
Honestly, and I've got really thick hair, so I still feel like I'm like, how am I losing so much hair and my hair's still so thick? Yeah, and it feels like an outrageous amount. So I would like to, this is a complaint about long hair, but also I am part of that group. So it's a sincere apology to all those people that I've ever told, don't do that. Like, why have you got so much hair? Why is the hair here? And the problem with my hair is because it's like so dark.
Is your phone all right?
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine.
You were getting so passionate into your apology there. The hands were waving everywhere, and you just knocked your phone.
Very Italian. Flying. Anyway, I'd like to make an apology for everyone that I've said and had a go at, because I remember speaking to an old flatmate of mine, Dot, and I said, like, why is the hair here? Like, in like a shower or something. And I was like, why is it on the walls? Because like if you get it on your because if you get it on your hand in your shower, it's really hard to like get off. Yeah. So I can understand why it's like stuck on the walls now, because I've done the same thing.
Well, I make no such apology. I'm sticking to my guns.
Yeah, and because I've got such dark hair.
Yeah,
you just see it everywhere.
Oh no, it doesn't matter. Gina's got blonde hair, and that gets everywhere.
But I think you notice it less.
Nah.
With like if you come to my flat, I will show you.
Okay, I'm just picturing it like ceiling, walls just glued everywhere, like an explosion of hair.
Yeah, no, because in comparison to Annie's, you don't see it anywhere near as much. Yeah. Annie's hair, because hers is much lighter.
I feel like we've been chatting some shit this week.
Oh yeah, yep, yippity-doo.
Where are we up to? We've not done news yet. Should we talk about some news?
Shall we?
Right, news Bleat. It's a special week.
It's a sad week for me.
Oh, well, I was going to say it's a special week because I've actually bought some news.
Oh, I think you had news last week as well. I did 2 in a row.
It's a special month then.
Look at you.
Do you want to get your sad news out of the way?
Yeah, I will.
Go on.
So, my local football club is Bury Football Club.
Yes, I was going to ask you about this actually.
And for those that don't know and don't follow football at all, but it has been in national news, is the football club has gone into administration and has been kicked out of the Football League by the English Football League. And so we're kind of left in a bit of limbo. There is no Bury Football Club team at the moment.
How can things mess up that badly?
Basically, the previous owner, Stuart Day, I think he spent basically too much money.
Right.
Didn't pay out, like, borrowed money, didn't pay for things, just wrote a lot of IOUs, and then left. Basically, he sold the club on,
Yeah.
and the club was bought by Steve Dale.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to guess, how much would you pay for a football club?
Oh, God. It's obscene amounts, isn't it? Hang on, what league were Bury in?
I think they were in League 2, but we had just got promoted to League 1 now. But
before
it doesn't
you
match
got
anyway. Yeah.
kicked off. I have no concept of this. 10 million.
He bought it for £1.
What?
Yes. So because he was taking on all of these debts as well,
Right.
so he bought the club,
Yeah.
like an owning share, for £1. But basically, because we were like so much in debt, so say we were 8 million in debt,
Yeah.
he's really bought the club for 8 million and £1.
Okay.
Because the expectation is he was going to do something towards paying off this debt.
Off the debt. Okay.
He's done nothing of the sort.
Right.
He's basically,
evidently.
yeah. The last companies that he's owned and worked with, I think about 4 of them have gone into liquidation. He's an asset stripper, so basically he comes in, sells off anything of value, takes it down to the bare bones, and then it goes into liquidation and it leaves and moves on to something different.
Sounds like a bell end, if you ask me.
Yeah, yeah, he is. Let me see if I can. If you search Steve Dale 5 Live interview, maybe, and have a listen to this and see what he says. Okay, Ben.
Hang on. It's in summary, he basically said, I didn't even know there was a football club in Bury. I'm a bastard. I don't give a shit. I've ruined this, and the football fans shouldn't show themselves up with disgraceful behaviour, even though I've been a bell end.
Yeah.
Fuck you all.
Yes. I will actually say what he actually said. He said he'd never even heard of the town Paul Bury. He could walk away from Bury, no problem. He doesn't even spend any time there. And he didn't even know there's a football team called Bury, and he doesn't even like football.
How did it come about that he's the one that did this? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
What? Well, it must have been evident that there was massive issues when the last owner did all of this. Surely that it would have been on. There must have been a board or more than one person saying, "We want to keep the football club going. Let's get someone on board who can do this."
Yeah.
Instead of this guy who couldn't give a shit and is just going to strip all the money away and walk away.
Well, basically, he's come along to the previous owner
Yeah.
and said, I'd like to buy the club for whatever price.
Yeah.
Agreed on this. And the idea is that the English Football League is supposed to do a sound and proper check on people. That's what they call it, to see, whether you have the funds to own and run this business, this football club, or not. Do you know what I mean? They should say yes or no to this transaction. And really, I think it's basically a farce. For him to be able to come in, buy it for £1, that all his previous liquidation businesses, and they'd be like, oh yeah, you can own this place and it's no big deal. It's a bit of a fucking joke.
Yeah. Well, that's a shame.
So yeah,
I didn't realise that's quite what happened. I thought obviously something would mess up because I saw the headline that Bury had been kicked out and gone out of business or whatever it's called. But well, sorry.
Yeah, and it doesn't help. So basically, they had all their games suspended so far, and then I think they've been cancelled.
Yeah.
But there was like a 14-day period where they needed to get the sale sorted. And basically, I think Steve Dale put it off. It wouldn't accept offers because he thought he could get more money for them.
Yeah.
It came down to like the last couple days. The MP for Bury asked the EFL for an extension, so they got a 48-hour extension to this deal to go through. There was a company willing to buy out Bury, and then an hour before this 5 o'clock deadline came on Tuesday, the company that was going to take over pulled out, said they couldn't take over the club, and it's
gone,
and they've just been kicked out. Yeah.
Well, that's a shame.
Yeah, and the same thing is happening to Bolton as well, basically.
Is this a common thing?
No.
Or is it just a chance that 2 are happening?
Yeah, there's not been a team kicked out of the league, I think, since 1992.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, or something like that. So it's been, 26 years.
Yeah.
And then for 2 teams to be facing the same thing at the same time, and then neighbouring towns, is
crazy.
Is a bit of a shit show.
Well,
so that's the sad news for me because Bury are my football club.
Home team.
Yeah, not anymore.
I don't think my home team has enough funds to ever have this problem.
Right, should we move on? What was your news?
My news. I thought that you might have this news also. A team of Buddhist monks won an esports tournament in Thailand.
Oh, I haven't seen this one.
They were basically entered as like a fun novelty team.
Yeah.
It was a mobile game called Speed Drifters.
Oh, okay.
And so I think there was lots of teams registered as, I don't know how it works, like valid players that are recognised as teams, and they were entered as like a wild card. Bit of fun. And then they won it.
Wow. How much did they win?
Not a clue.
And
It doesn't. I don't think it actually says. The story that they're literally just saying they won because they caused a bit of a stir that they accepted it in their full robes, and there's a lot of people who have taken issue with that.
Okay. I wonder if they just had like a lot of time. Do you know what I mean? If that's their full-time job.
Well, it says their full-time job in quotation marks is studying for 20 hours, studying religion a day.
Yeah.
So I don't know when they had time to practice Speed Drifters.
Well, imagine if they, for example, if your part of your religious study was spreading Buddhist religion, do you know what I mean? Like getting it to the masses.
Yeah.
You could probably argue, oh, you're going to be entered into this tournament, spend 20 hours a day practicing this game.
Drifters. Well, it worked. We're talking about them. And
there you go. So any budding gamers, 20 hours a day. There you go. Who needs 4 hours sleep? Who needs 8 hours? Get 4 hours instead, sorry.
Yeah.
Did you hear that Trump suggested, I know this is political again, but Trump suggested using nuclear weapons to stop hurricanes?
I saw memes for this, but I must have missed the initial...
Yeah.
The origin of it.
Well, basically, he came out and said that they should use nuclear weapons to stop hurricanes.
Could you talk me through the science of this, please?
Or
the Trump science of this?
I think the idea is, if a hurricane is just a wind spinning around faster and faster, simplified, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you drop a bomb in there that expands everything out and just blows all the wind away, no hurricane.
Cool.
But we don't. I think we're not sure about that for certain. And if it doesn't work, now you've got a hurricane that's nuclear reactive. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It will drop radioactive rain on you.
Seems like a fair payoff.
To me, he's like, now I'm going to go live on the West Coast instead. Yeah. Silly.
Fake news.
Yeah, I was considering this to be.
No, I'd have. It's too popular.
It is.
Too mainstream.
Too mainstream for sure.
Well, seeing as we've mentioned fake news, shall we do fake news or not?
Shall we? Yes.
Right.
Right. Let me just get up my fake story or real story. So what I do each week is I bring to the table a fake story or a real story that's ridiculous, and Ben has to work out whether it is fake or not.
And depending on how many weeks I've won, I think we're on 4 weeks now, results in me having no questions to ask this week as a handicap.
Okay.
Hit me.
Pork chop that resembles Freddie Mercury spotted by Queen fan.
True.
You just go bang out.
True. This is a real story.
Why did you say that?
Because it is stupid, and you see these crop up now and then. It's like, Christian finds Jesus in toast.
Yeah.
So I don't see why a Queen fan couldn't find Freddie Mercury in his pork chop.
God damn it, man! It is true. Fuck. Would you like to see a picture of it?
Yeah, that would. If now I've got questions. Is this a cooked pork chop? Is it raw?
This is a cooked pork chop.
A cooked pork chop.
Right, I'm going to show you the picture of it now and tell me what you think.
That's a stretch, that.
That is a stretch, isn't it? If I showed you that without telling you any of the story about it, you wouldn't go, that's Freddie Mercury, that.
I'd go, that's Tom Selleck from 3 Men and a Baby, that.
Yeah. God damn.
It does have a look, like the grain of it makes it look like it could be like a photo from back in the day.
Before there was cameras.
Before there was cameras.
It's terrible. If you haven't seen this picture, just Google it and find it. Oh, man.
I bet if we Google now, there is multiple Freddie Mercurys in food. I bet we can find top 10 Freddie Mercury.
No, I think I'll be the only one.
We got a pork chop, lots and lots.
Lots of pork chops. Told you.
Eat my words.
I'll agree that there's more in food. Lots of Jesuses.
Lots of Jesus. I bet there's lots of Jesus in food.
Right. If you have to circle where the picture might be, you're probably not.
It's no, it's not that black splotch on that side. It's that black splotch there. I do get what you mean, but it's just it's a blob. It's a blob with what could be a mustache.
Do you think, like, every day there is someone's face in something somewhere? And
I bet my face is somewhere.
People just eat it, though.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Someone in Japan could have had my face in an egg yolk this morning.
Yeah. But they just ate it because they just thought, well, I'm not going to look through my food to see if there's a Benjamin Paley in there.
If that is a reason, if there ever was a reason to be famous, I've just found it.
What, to have your face? But wouldn't
your face doesn't go unnoticed.
Right. Would you take that? That seems like a shitty superpower. Do you know, like we spoke about before, that your face appears in every steak? Do you know what I mean? Every time you cook a steak, your face appears.
How novel would that be?
That'd be so weird. No matter the cut of steak, just there's your face.
Always your face. But like photorealistic as well. Not like this shitty pork chop.
And you actually talk.
Anyway, another win for me.
Yeah, I'm so happy for you.
Continuing this streak. Shall we move on to the main topic?
Yeah.
You got anything else you want to say?
No.
Here we go then. If it's any consolation, we've almost finished the first year of the podcast, which means that we can change the game soon.
Yeah, and we can get you some sort of championship belt.
Yes. We should do that.
Maybe I'll just buy you like a belt from Next and just write winner on it.
It better have gold on it somewhere.
All right, I'll write gold winner on it.
Thank you. Anyway, we're talking about a main topic this week.
We are.
As we always do.
We're talking about some boys.
We are talking about some boys.
And we're talking about The Boys.
The Boys.
The TV show produced and shown on Amazon.
Amazon's new, most successful show, I believe.
If you say so, Benjamin.
I do believe in my research. I discovered this.
Mm-hmm. Give me the premise of the show.
The premise. I actually wrote a little synopsis.
Oh, you're gonna put like music
specifically.
Over the top of it?
No. I'll just
Once upon a time. Is it like film advert way?
Yeah.
Trailer.
Yeah.
But Once upon a time, a man with a beard, 3 men and a baby.
We'll do a quick.
3 men eat a baby for breakfast.
There is actually a baby that's integral into the plotline of this.
It's true.
Yeah. We'll do a non-spoiler section first, give our initial thoughts.
Yes.
And then people can...
We'll get into some super spoilers.
Yes. Right. The Boys is set in a universe where superheroes exist, but the superheroes are not as super as you'd think. They're corrupted, self-centered people who are controlled by like corporate machine, basically.
Mm-hmm.
They're more in the hero game for fame, money, and power than for the good of the people. We follow the story of a normal guy called Huey who decides to go after the corrupt superheroes with a team of boys.
Mm-hmm. The Boys.
The Boys, after something terrible happens to him in the first episode.
Yes.
I think that's kind of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Shall I give my opinion on it?
Yes.
I thought it was really good.
Good. I thought for a minute there you were going to say no.
I hated this. No, I thought it was really good. I think the story was brilliant. The way it leads you in is great. Yeah, I would give it like 4.5 bars. I think it was really good.
Yeah, solid 4 from me as well. I'll give 4.5. Let's agree on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 4.5.
4.5. Yeah, great. If you're looking for something to watch that's funny, action packed, but a bit dirty and a bit grimy.
Yeah.
This is something that I would watch. Like, if you like superheroes, but you want a more like adult version that isn't kid friendly.
I would say, let's try and get all the non-spoilery things out. I think that this would also be really good for people who don't like superheroes. Like, if I was going to recommend something for people who are like, oh, I don't like superhero things, change my mind.
Mm-hmm.
I'd recommend this.
Yeah.
Because this was, I asked you this yesterday off mic, this wasn't exactly what I was expecting. Because it was as much about politics and like capitalism as it was about superheroes.
Yeah.
It was almost like a character study of America and its like political state.
For sure. It's got themes that are explored using the superheroes as a base, but not necessarily about the superheroes.
Yeah. So
like, about having superpowers, I should say.
I think as long as if you like violence,
yeah.
If you like if you like violence, if you like watching something that's got like action, fights, all that kind of stuff, gore, shock value, you'll enjoy it.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was good. Should we move on to spoilery
let's
section?
do some spoilery things. Well, we'll say first thing first. I had a quick look at. So this is based on a comic. Obviously, it's not original content.
Yep.
I thought that fun fact. You know Huey, the main character.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen a picture of him in the comic?
No.
So Simon Pegg's in this.
He is.
Okay. Huey in the comic is Simon Pegg.
Really?
So the artist wanted Simon Pegg.
Wow. Yeah, that's
So
just
that's
Simon
Huey.
Pegg.
So basically, in the original comic, the artist was like, Simon Pegg, I want to use you in this.
Yeah.
Because it was in 2006, I think it came out.
Okay.
And that was fine. But by the time that it came to actually filming this, it's been floating around as a film idea for ages. And it finally got made. Simon Pegg's too old to play Huey.
Yeah.
So they cast him as Huey's dad.
Yeah, I think that's good. Let's just take a moment to talk about Simon Pegg's accent in this.
I want to talk about accents in general for a bit.
Okay. So there's in this whole show there are lots of people with lots of different accents. The two main ones for me are Huey's dad, whose name I don't remember.
I would say that's not the most important accent that we need to talk about.
But I would like to get to it.
Okay.
We'll get to the other one as well. What do you think of his American accent? So Simon Pegg's doing an American accent in this.
I think it was passable.
Just.
I'm fine. I think because I already knew that he was originally Huey, so I was like, this is a nice little Easter egg. I'm glad that they put him in this role.
Yeah.
And I don't care. He played enough of a minor character that
sure.
it didn't take me out of it. Like
No.
it was fine.
I think if I didn't know who he was already,
yeah.
then I wouldn't be bothered by it. If he was like a nondescript British person
Yeah.
who was doing an American accent, I'd be like, oh, that just sounds like a bit of a weird American accent, and I wouldn't think anything on it because I know what he sounds like.
Exactly.
He does sound weird. It doesn't sound natural to me.
Yeah.
Okay. And the other one that we're obviously going to talk about is Butcher, I'm assuming.
Billy Butcher. I want to say casting in this overall is great, especially Billy Butcher.
Yeah.
Minus the accent. We'll come to that in a second. Starlight, Huey, and Homelander. I thought all of them were standout for me.
Yeah.
But Carl Urban plays Billy Butcher.
Right.
I think he's a great actor, and I think he's perfect for this.
Right.
He's meant to be Cockney, like London.
Yeah.
His accent, it goes everywhere between like wacky fake Cockney to Australian.
Well, he is New Zealand, isn't he?
And then I discovered he's from New Zealand, so I was like, this makes a bit more sense. But as bad as the accent was, I think it was kind of wacky and off the wall enough, like the series, that it worked.
Well, I think that I'm not sure because it never specifically says where he's from. Everyone keeps going, the guy with a British accent. They never actually say he's from Britain, and people keep asking him, like, what's that accent? I think it's like a running joke throughout it.
I decided that from the beginning. I was like, maybe he's meant to just be ambiguous, grown up all over the world. But then they kept saying things like that, and I was like, I think this is meant... Do you know what I mean? I think it's meant to be British.
Yeah.
I think
maybe I'm giving the benefit of the doubt.
I think if you give him the benefit of the doubt and go with that mindset, you'll be a lot more comfortable.
Yeah.
Because his accent's fucking weird.
I can't remember if they actually say British guy. I didn't know whether it was like a running joke.
They do numerous times.
But do they not say the guy with like a British accent? And it's just, is that a joke on like Americans not knowing anything else that's like, he's not American, obviously.
Well, they did quite a few things linking back to him being British. Like one of them was he went to someone's house and they were like, oh, I'll make you some tea. I've got the British stuff for you. So there was a lot of references to him specifically being British.
Yeah, but all by somebody else, though. That's what I'm saying. Do you know what I mean? It's all by somebody that doesn't really know him, making assumptions about his accent. Do you know what I mean? I'm looking at it thinking maybe it's a joke on like Americans not knowing anything other than American. Do you think it's just that is the stereotype? I'm giving that the benefit of the doubt, thinking, oh, it's like a meta joke. It's all a bit of a joke.
I think he's meant to be playing a British character, and his accent's a bit shit. But his performance is great.
Search now. Is he Billy Butcher British in the thing?
I bet he is. Originating from London's East End.
Yes, that's fucking bollocks, isn't it?
Yeah.
I take it all back.
He's just got a terrible. That's what I was saying. But it's fine. That shouldn't be a point that puts people off watching this.
I bet if you're American, you don't even notice it.
I bet that's true. I bet if you're from anywhere else in the world other than England, it's probably fine.
Yeah. You know who you want in this? You want Danny Dyer.
Yeah.
Not saying that he would be the best actor for it, but like
Yeah,
his
he
accent,
he could have done this.
I think he could have pulled it off.
Yeah, it's true.
Maybe he's not got the stature for it. Like Billy, who plays him?
Carl Urban.
Yeah, I think he
Urban.
looked great, and his stature in this, he's
He was,
very
he was
commanding.
perfect for it. Like visually, I think he looked the part, acted the part.
Mm-hmm.
He had this kind of, he's a bit of like a psychotic kind of on the verge of having a breakdown the whole way through.
For sure.
Driven by just anger and revenge.
Yeah. So, using him as an example, I think almost everyone, maybe with one exception in this whole show, is an arsehole.
Yeah.
Like, everyone is an utter dickhead.
Yeah.
And the one exception to that is maybe Starlight.
Yeah.
She's possibly the only one.
She is driven. I don't think she really goes massively wrong here, but she's always trying to morally do the right thing.
For sure.
And I think she kind of does.
Yeah. I think if we were to put this in like I don't know, do you know that in the 9, you've got like chaotic good, neutral good, and lawful good.
Yeah.
I'd put her in like lawful good.
Yeah.
Because she's like always trying to be the best that she can be and be morally correct throughout everything.
Yeah.
And then I think I almost want to put like Billy Butcher in like chaotic good.
Yeah.
Because he wants to do the right thing, you know, makes someone pay for something that they've done.
Well, now we're in spoilers. He is fully motivated. So the boys are a team of people who are trying to take down the superhero. They call them soups in the program.
Yeah, soups.
So the soups, he's trying to take them down because the lead superhero, Homelander, evil Superman, raped his wife and he thinks killed her.
Yeah.
So his whole motivation is, I am going to take down not just superheroes in this bad organization, I'm taking down Homelander and nothing else matters.
For sure. And the way that we as the audience get brought into this is via Huey, who is basically the everyman. Like, he's how we as the audience see everything for the first time.
Yeah.
And the way he's brought into it is that basically A-Train, basically the Flash, the fastest man on Earth, runs through his girlfriend and like literally obliterates her. He's like holding onto her hands at the end, and the rest of her body is just turned into a bloody mess.
There is such like, I know that programs go for like shock value. This really does. I think it does shock value well. There's a reason for every time they do it, and they pull it off every time.
That scene, I wasn't expecting at all.
That was the only thing I knew was going to happen.
Really? So,
but it was still just as horrifying.
Yeah. When it happened, I was like, oh. Because it was like, it set it up like you meet Huey and then his girlfriend comes and takes him away, and they have like this like
and they have this great chemistry
banter,
and lovely life. They're having this cute conversation, and he's in the middle of saying something about, oh, don't you ever besmirch Billy Joel. And as he finishes this little cute argument they're having, this guy runs through her so fast that she is obliterated.
Yeah.
And like you said, all that is left is he's holding his girlfriend's hands, not attached to anything.
Yeah. Like, you don't see him run through, you just see like this blur, and you see Huey's face like ripple in the like the shockwave, and then it like slow-mo pans to just like this splat of blood. You see like an eye and like some teeth.
It is gruesome.
Yeah.
There was such I wasn't ready for the level of like nudity in this.
There's
There's so many just like, there's a man's penis there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just it doesn't do it in like a sexualized way for anything. I wouldn't say. No. It's all just, not all the time, some of it.
But all of the sex is kind of like clothed as well. It's like any nudity is like non-sexualized, and any sex is non-nudity. Yeah, it's like flip that way around. Like, I guess it's it's not trying to be a softcore porn.
I'd say it handles a lot of like dark topics.
For sure.
Like sexual abuse is in the first episode. You follow another character, Annie January, who plays Starlight.
Oh, I didn't know her last name was January.
Annie January, yeah. But she basically gets bought into this superhero team, which is basically the Justice League. So there's like equivalents.
It's called the Seven.
The Seven. So she gets into this team, and Aquaman, called the Deep in this, is introducing her to the base. So she's like, oh, welcome to this. This is this. And then she turns around and he's got his penis out.
Yeah, she does. She goes like, oh, you know, I used to have a crush on you. I used to have a poster on the wall. And then he turns around and he's got his dick in his hand. You don't see that. You just see his ass. Yeah. But
he's basically like, you do me.
Yeah.
Or else I'll get you kicked off this team, and just forces her into. That was horrible from like the first. You're just thrown in and you're like, oh, these superheroes are evil, twisted people.
Yeah, the ones that you see mostly are the what like you just see them do evil stuff right from the beginning. Like Homelander, and like the first scene is we're watching these two kids walk down the street, and then there's a van that's been stolen with lots of money running down the street that gets stopped by what's she called? Queen Maeve.
Queen Maeve
jumps in front of it, stops it so that it doesn't hit the boys. This guy, two thugs get out, balaclavas and guns, hold the boys hostage. Homelander comes down, kills one, and then chucks the other one in the air. Yeah. And like most of the time, like if you saw a superhero film where someone gets thrown, you never see them land.
No.
And then they're always like just knocked out or whatever. You can't. Nobody kills anybody really in like Marvel superhero films or something like that, because they're a bit all kid friendly. But then you see him throw up and he like turns around. It's like, oh yeah, sure, I can get a selfie. And then you just see it drop onto a car. And just like splatter. You're like, oh, that sign kind of sets the tone for this whole thing. Because obviously you think, oh yeah, he saved the day, but also like that was very psychopathic, just throwing someone, just letting them die.
So they do. I think that what they handle really well is these like little character studies on each of these individual people and why they are like why they are.
Yeah.
So we learn that Homelander, he turns out to be the most twisted evil person there, really. And you kind of piece together the reason for this is he was brought up in a lab from a baby with no love. So he's developed all these weird like fetishes and problems from not having love, basically. That's why he is like he is.
But his like persona is that he's like the goody two shoes. He's like perfect.
And the guy playing him, I want to give him props for. So there's a lot of time where he'll portray his Superman side basically to the camera, where he'll have this grin and smile, and the second that the cameras go off, like the actor's face like just drops into this like dead stare. I think he does such a good job of
he's great
of playing evil Superman
for sure.
I did have a quick. I've not read the comic originally, but I read a few articles, and they toned down his character.
Wow.
From the comics, apparently there was a lot of dark stuff that they didn't include. There was one. I think one of the first scenes that they're setting up Homelander in the comic, there's a family who win a competition to have dinner with Homelander.
Okay.
So he flies over to their house, picks up their car, and flies them off to this destination. But on the way, he just drops the car and kills the whole family because he can't be bothered to have a dinner with them. And it's like setting up this. That's what this character's like.
Wow.
It's just he was evil.
and then everything, it gets covered up, doesn't it? So no matter what he does, it just gets covered up by this big corporation. What's it called?
Vaughn?
I want to say Vogue. By Vogue.
Not Vogue.
But because they're making millions and millions off selling merchandise, films, basically selling it to the nation that superheroes are amazing and you should buy all this merchandise, which kind of Marvel does with fake superheroes. But imagine if they were real.
That's what this was. A very self-aware. This was a good time to bring out this series, making fun of DC and Marvel in the real world.
Yeah.
Although ironically, it's Amazon producing this, the biggest company in the world, not this little underdog independent company. But
so let's talk about some of the evil stuff Homelander does, so that we can like paint a picture. So the biggest one that they show is probably the plane. So they're trying to get these soups into the army or into the military. And to do this, they scramble Homelander and Queen Maeve to save this plane that's been hijacked by some terrorists. The idea that if they save the day before the military can get there, the military have to be like, well, we don't want to be turning down these heroes and saviors. Like, they're already heroes, but if they're doing a better job than the military, like, the public will be on their side and this kind of stuff. And basically, they get on board, kill all but one of the terrorists, get to the cockpit, see that the co-pilot's dead, and then the last terrorist kills the pilot. Homelander kills the terrorist, but then in the process of doing that, destroys the controls for the plane and says, well, there's no saving this. And like showing literally no emotion whatsoever, No, actually, that's wrong. He walks through the back of to the back of the plane to leave, but as he's doing that, he's like comforting everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, you'll all be great. It's great to see you. Oh, you are the heroes. Oh,
That's
it's
the thing.
amazing. You're
I
the
love
best.
that. He keeps saying that in any public situation. He'll turn up and to the police or the army, he's like, no. You're the real heroes here.
Yeah,
And then does something horrific.
for sure,
Yeah.
sure. And basically then leaves out the back of the plane, and the people on the plane kind of figure out what's going on. Maeve's with him and says, wants to save these 2 people, and he's like, no, because then they will tell everybody that we left everybody else, and it was our fault.
Yeah.
And so he just like heartlessly just leaves.
Yeah. Doesn't even... There's like a mother and child, and the mother's like, save my little girl.
Yeah.
Like, just please, you can do that. And he's just like, nah.
No. He's like, okay, bye.
Yeah.
And then basically twist the whole thing at the end, saying, if we were in the military, if we had that chain of command, then this would never happen again.
Yeah.
And it's like, holy shit. Like, he turns this thing that he's basically caused into being a positive win for them. It's like, it's horrendous to see.
So as you kind of discovering all of these horrible conspiracies that Vaughn are doing to try and get a hold on everything, basically, you discover that superheroes are not natural things.
No.
They are manufacturing superheroes from a drug called Compound V.
For sure.
So we then discover that the reason that they want to get them into the military, they're trying to get them into the military so that they can own that too. Mm-hmm. But then we discover that as well as making superheroes, they're also manufacturing super villains so they can create wars and finance themselves to do these wars from America, basically.
For sure.
So there's just all these layers of twisted
heinous
stuff
crimes
happening. Just... Whenever you think something awful's happened, something more awful comes along, basically.
Mm-hmm. And then even when it kind of gets shown to the FBI, they kind of turn it around and then have no hand in it because there are these super villains that only the supes could fight.
Yeah.
And their hands are tied. So the boys went out of their way, basically nearly died, to try and turn them in and get them caught.
Basically just bring the information to light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it all got shoved under the rug.
Yeah. And that's where Billy Butcher's biggest flaws come into play, because they might have been able to stop this first.
Yeah.
Because they get all this information and Billy Butcher brings it to the FBI and says, you can have all this information to bring down Vaughn if you hold Homelander accountable, because that's all that he cares about.
Yeah.
And they say, we can't do that. We can do everything else you've asked, but we can't go after him specifically. So he's like, okay, I'm keeping all this then. And then things get out of hand, and it might have been stopped if they do that.
For sure.
But hey-ho, it didn't.
It didn't.
I want to say, one of my favourite scenes in this, as they're breaking into Vaughn's compound, Billy Butcher finds a baby.
No, this is in a hospital, isn't it?
Is it in the hospital? Either way, something to do with Vaughn. He finds a baby, and he's getting hunted by Vaughn's military people.
Goons,
Grabs this baby that turns out to be a superhero baby, and he's shooting people with the baby with laser eyes.
Yes.
Laser baby was my favourite thing through the whole thing.
For sure.
I was just watching it like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah. Because they went in and saw that this baby was like basically shooting lasers out of its eyes.
Yeah.
And then he pulled it in and he like points at it at one, it like slices him in half, and then does it for 2 people. And then the last one he's just holding the baby and the baby's doing nothing. So he just does like a light jiggle.
Shakes the baby.
Yeah, and he's like, "Mah," and then he like kills him. Yeah, that was
so good. There was so many just unique little scenes that they did. I loved you said you'd seen this beforehand, so there's a invisible guy called Translucent.
Yes.
And obviously when they're fighting him, he's invisible, so they can't see him. So the way that they work out that they can try and see him initially is they're just spitting blood on him. Because it's in the middle of this fight and they've been punched in the face, and then there's a blood splat and they're like, let's jump on this. And he just gets covered in blood splats so they can see him. I was just like, there's some cool ways around that. I've not seen that before.
It was filmed really well as well, and it kind of gets Huey into the whole place.
I love that TV production value is basically a film now.
Yeah, for sure.
You used to feel, I don't know, there was a budget divide. Like it was, there's the big screen and then there's TV. You can still tell good stories, but the production value is never there.
Yeah.
Whereas I think this specifically wouldn't have worked as well as a film, compared to having 8 episodes for all of these themes to like breathe and have time we get 8 hours rather than cramming it into 2.
Yeah, I think a lot of these like series that are short, like, we're going to produce basically an 8-hour film and cut it up into 1-hour slices.
Yeah.
Is better than, for example, I don't know, The Flash? Has he got one that's like a long-running series with multiple episodes, and it's like all you're really doing is fighting a different enemy every time?
Yeah.
I've not watched it, but I've seen clips, and that's what it looks like, and it looks cheap. Do you know what I mean? It's basically they probably used one series worth of 30 episodes, budget, crushed it down, had a concise story, but then which has still had enough depth to let it breathe. Like you said, that it probably over 2 hours wasn't going to be enough time. Yeah. But over 8 it is. Mm-hmm. But then over 30 would have been too long.
Too much, exactly. It was a big problem. I don't think you ever watched them, but Netflix's Marvel series that they had.
Right.
I really liked a lot of those, but I think they had about 15 episodes per series.
Right.
And it was like they always had to stick to this big number they decided. And they just kept dragging things out so much. Whereas here, I feel like they hadn't decided on a number. Mm-hmm. They sorted the story first and then thought, we need 8 to tell this. So that's what we're going with. Yeah. And this has already been greenlit for a season 2.
I have heard
which has started now. And I think they've stuck with 8 again, which I think is a good sign that they've not seen this as a success and doubled it. They've gone, okay, now we're doing 16 episodes, because they'd have obviously given them the money to do it.
For sure.
But I think they're sticking to, we can tell the story in this amount, let's stick to it.
Yeah, I think this used to be kind of like a British-American divide. A lot of American TV shows used to be like shorter episodes running for a much longer period of time. Yeah. Whereas like you could get BBC One shows that were like, oh, this is a 3-parter. Yeah. Like we had a story that was 3 hours long, and that's all we're going to show of it. Yeah. And like they can be like really massive hits. So for example, Killing Eve is a lot like that. It's not massively long series. It's probably only 8 episodes again. Yeah. In each season, and they're like that's the same kind of thing where it's like, oh, we've got a tight series rather than being formulaic, which a lot of TV shows can end up being. Like I think they'll have like an overarching arc, but then each episode will be like, oh, here's a slightly different villain, or this is a little storyline within that.
Yeah. No, I like that they did this format
for sure,
and I enjoy that we can do that with TV now, and it doesn't suffer in any way. Black Noir.
Yes, I really
love that character.
Well, because you just don't see anything of him.
Doesn't do anything.
He has like one fight scene, and then he's just completely silent the rest of the time.
Speaks no dialogue.
None.
And then, so he looks like this threatening, like armored ninja.
Yeah.
Who looks like he's going to be like this really formidable person, but we see him do very little. Then he just walks into this party in a scene.
Yes.
There's a guy playing piano, and Black Noir's just standing over him, and you see the guy getting more and more uncomfortable until he's like, I'm just gonna go. And then this like hulking armored guy sits at the piano and then just cracks out some lovely classical music. Yeah. I was just like, what is this character? Like, I've since discovered, so they've gone very off-piste from the source material from the comic. Black Noir in the comic was I know that this isn't case, so it's not spoilers. He was a clone of Homelander. And Homelander, he was going a bit mad, thinking that he was doing a lot of evil stuff. I think he managed to go evil. But it turned out that Black Noir was doing these evil things, and Homelander was starting to go crazy, thinking he was doing these evil things. So that's who his character originally was. That's not the case of what they've done in the show at all.
He's quite a funny character. He's like one of the only one in the 7 who doesn't really talk at all.
No. He doesn't talk at all. No, but even when he's addressed, like face to face.
Yeah.
He just doesn't say anything.
Who are in the 7?
Right, so we've got... Okay, let's try and draw... There's Superman, who is Homelander.
Yes.
There is Wonder Woman, who is Queen Maeve.
Yeah.
There is The Flash, who is A-Train. There is Translucent, who is the Invisible Man, who's not in Justice League, but that's him. There's The Deep, which is Aquaman. There's Annie January, Starlight, who is similar to a few characters, but not from Justice League. And then there's one more. Black Noir. Yeah. That's the 7.
It's because then there's... I think I wasn't thinking of Starlight, because there was someone else before that, isn't there? The Torch, or whatever he's called.
Yeah, and they retired or whatever.
Yeah.
Probably killed by one of them.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Really interesting. I would really recommend this.
I would really recommend it.
To,
as long as you're not...
to adults.
Yes, don't show this to a child. It's not a superhero thing in that way.
No.
It is twisted and dark and gory and really good fun.
For sure.
I think that's the underlying thing. It was quite fun through all of it. It didn't take itself too seriously. It kind of did these really dark, serious things where you were like, oh shit, and then kind of paid it off with something funny afterwards.
For example, you go from the one scene that I really remember was like really funny, I thought, was you had Billy Butcher basically trying to do this motivational speech about how the team couldn't break up because, for example, the Spice Girls, they were amazing together, and then he goes through all the different Spice Girls and just says like, they're doing terrible now, what's Baby doing, what's Posh doing, Ginger Spice released 2 albums and they were fucking shit, is what he says, not my words. And he basically saying, oh no, we need to be like the Spice Girls together, we're better.
Yeah.
And then it literally like cuts, and there's in a van they're playing Spice Girls.
Yeah. You're gonna be
my lover. And it's the Deep stealing a dolphin from basically SeaWorld. He's like talking to it, and then the dolphin is obviously saying something that we can't understand. And he's like, okay, no, I don't want to, not now. You're making it awkward. No, it's weird. This is weird. And then he's like, okay, well, maybe I'll touch it a little bit. If you want me to, I can touch it just a little bit. And then he crashes, and he slams on hard, and the dolphin just flies out the front of this van, like skids all over the thing, basically looks dead, and then another van runs over it and it explodes.
Yep.
Great. That was great. It was properly just... It was a comedy scene that they just... we didn't need to see that at all.
Not at all. I do want to say, I think there's an important distinction, though. There is funny stuff, but they don't make fun of the dark things that they do as well. So the sexual assault themes, they address them
head on
in a different way to what we just spoke about there.
For sure.
They don't make fun of it.
No.
I think that's important to say.
Yeah, no, they Starlight, who has this, comes out and talks about it on stage and says, this was basically fucking shit. Yeah. And then I had some guy shove his dick in my face, and everyone's like outraged by it, as they should be.
Yeah.
And then the company comes around and says, the Deep, you're going to have to go because of this.
Yeah.
Sends him out to fucking Iowa, is it? Somewhere? Ohio.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, his story is like he's getting his comeuppance, basically a small piece of comeuppance for being a dickhead.
I think that's the only thing that they could have gone down a lot of paths, and that's the only thing I wasn't quite sure of with them. So they basically, he commits sexual assault, and then they humanize him a bit, and I was kind of like, I don't know how I feel about that. It's like they show him being doing this horrific thing from the off, and then like, oh, but he did it because he's got these issues, and it's like,
what did you think about the scene where he basically gets sexually assaulted?
Weird,
like, because he gets
very uncomfortable.
Yeah. So he's in this Ohio or wherever, and then this very forceful woman comes in and kind of starts playing with his gills. Yeah. So because he breathes underwater, and she's shoving her hand into his gills, and he's like, this is painful. Like, I think, is that scene there to show like this is, I think it's women's revenge, or the revenge of the writers?
Meant to be he is getting his comeuppance because he did this, and now the exact same's happening to him. I think that's the reason it happened.
Yeah.
Very uncomfortable scene though.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. Considering that they made the choice not to show it vice versa. They kind of showed the aftermath of Starlight throwing up and being disgusted with what happened, but then very graphically showing it with him. It was an interesting decision to make.
But am I just forgetting? We didn't really see any aftermath of him from that, dealing with that, did we?
He doesn't deal with it. No, it's not like
It's just like, this happens, and then
he just carries on.
Yeah.
Because then he all of his scenes when he leaves New York are all a little bit silly, or that scene with the gill rape.
Yeah, he's very much butt of the joke. They're playing into the joke that Aquaman is a rubbish superhero because he just talks to fish, and in this, that is the whole joke with him.
Yeah.
Another scene, he definitely does have the funniest scenes actually, even though he's an awful guy. When he's in a lobster restaurant, and he's trying to save a lobster. And we see him pick this lobster out that he's talking to and going to save, and then the guy serving obviously thinks, oh, he wants to eat this lobster, and chops its head off. Yeah. It's like, oh.
Yeah, because he's like, But then he's never like massively sad.
No.
You don't see him be like, "Oh, I can't believe you just did that." No, oh, why have you just killed him? I'm the Deep. I can talk to him.
Because he's a shitty guy.
Yeah, true.
At the core of it. Let's talk about the biggest reveal that this finishes on.
Yes.
So the whole time, we think that Billy Butcher's wife, Becca, we think that she is raped by Homelander, and then she either kills herself or gets killed by Homelander.
For sure.
Turns out, she's alive and well.
She is.
And Homelander we don't know the details here, so I want to talk about that. Homelander definitely did have sex with her.
For sure.
And resulted in her having Homelander's baby.
For sure.
So it turns out she is alive and well with child, and it finishes with Homelander bringing Billy to her house, and they all see each other and go...
And that's how it ends.
And it finishes.
Yeah, what did you think about that? So it doesn't... The only person that says that Homelander raped Becca is Billy. It's Butcher. It's not said either way at that point whether he's raped her or not. The assumption is that, yes, she doesn't look particularly like happy coming out of there.
No.
But it's not like she's distraught crying.
No. Well, we don't... Let's go down the route of what do we think is going to happen in season 2.
Okay.
Because I think it would be good, or the worst thing for Billy would be finding out that she wasn't raped.
No.
That they've been having a consensual affair.
Yeah.
That would destroy him more.
For sure.
I know that sounds awful, but from a storytelling perspective, I think that would be better than going down that super dark route of her being raped and...
Yeah, because then he's been misled, hasn't he?
He's been misled, and his whole ideology would be...
I mean, he could still hate Homelander, but not for the same reason, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a difference between I hate someone who's having an affair with my wife versus I hate someone who's raped and killed my wife.
Yes.
The anger there is still passionate, but is you probably don't want to kill Homelander for it.
Yeah.
Yes, I'd be curious to see how that goes, because Homelander comes out and says, "Oh no, it was consensual, totally consensual."
Yeah.
And he knows at that point that she's still alive.
Yeah.
And that he's thinking of taking Billy there. So what has he got to lie? Why would he lie?
I think we don't know because we've been primed to think everything that Homelander does is a lie because that's all he's ever done through the whole program. Who knows?
Who knows?
I mean, we'll find out soon enough. But
yes, I think you're probably right in that. I think it probably, or maybe. I don't know. It's a very fine line that they could draw. Like, oh, it wasn't rape; it was consensual, but I didn't want it to be a baby. It was a one-time thing. I don't know.
You're having issues there, thinking there's a fine line between what they could do. It's not a black and white program. There's a lot of grey areas in this, for sure. Which is good. It's one of the reasons that it works is that it's murky and muddy.
Yeah.
I definitely thought though from the beginning, I was fully prepared to be like, oh, she's gonna be alive. Because they keep setting up loads of things like, oh, she's dead, but then they swayed me enough that I was like, oh no, she really is dead.
Yeah.
So that then when the reveal did come that she was alive, I was like, I actually was surprised.
Yeah,
now.
yeah. It's like, oh, we're gonna bait you, and then we showed you this scene of her dying, basically, like an actual graphic, bloody scene of her dying in childbirth.
But it was fake
because it was a story that someone had told Homelander, and it was all a lie.
Fake news. I reckon I've just realized we've barely spoken about the main character.
I was going to speak about Huey. Yeah.
In this, I think in season 2 he's going to end up with superpowers.
Okay.
I think that's what season 2 will, because Compound V we discover is the thing that makes these superheroes.
Yeah.
I reckon that is going to be more of a basis in season 2.
Right.
Because we then discover that superheroes and normal people aren't these.
Different race.
Mutations or anything. It is manufactured. So there's no reason that people can't have that for the masses.
Yeah, I don't think they'll do that.
Do you not?
No.
I know that's
maybe
too
Huey
obvious,
will. Maybe Huey will because he's fallen in love with Starlight.
Yeah.
And he feels a little bit different about the whole experience. But I can imagine Billy being very much hateful of anybody that's like this. Do you know what I mean? I think maybe that will cause a divide between him and Huey, and that's the story they want to do. But I'd like to think that Huey's going to be involved with Billy still. And they're going to be doing some sort of fight against Homelander.
Yeah.
So Huey, do you want to talk about his arc?
Yeah, I think this is because he is the main character, but I think there's so many strong characters in this
Yeah.
that the series works in tons of different ways. It's not just relying on the main character, even though that's what it focuses on.
It's like he is the main character just because he's the everyman. You know, he's the audience's way in. But I don't know, like screen time wise, I wonder how much like screen time he actually gets versus everyone else. I bet it's not a massive amount. It's not like the whole action revolves around him. You see the perspective of everybody else.
It's like,
you know what I mean?
Friends. It's an ensemble.
Yeah, for sure.
Cast.
For sure.
It's
like if you watched Justice League this time round, was there a lead in that? Or was it like a
Justice League?
Has that been out?
Just the horrific, terrible, shitty film.
I'm not saying it's a great example, but that's like a something to compare it to.
Ensemble
Ensemble
cast. Just handled very differently to this show.
Yeah, and Game of Thrones, that doesn't really have it. You know, your lead character was possibly Ned Stark to start off with in your first season, and then he dies, and you're like, oh fuck,
oh my god.
But it's more ensemble-y.
Yes, Huey, good. Very much like the chemistry between him and Starlight.
Yep,
that worked really well. You really cared for both of them.
Yeah, and this very difficult dynamic in that he's going around fighting against superheroes, but he's also in love with a superhero.
Yes, and then he has so many moral dilemmas because it's a classic, gets in way too deep, and he didn't ask for any of this.
Yeah, so
he ends up murdering Translucent in kind of self-defense because he knows that he would die if he doesn't kill him.
Yeah.
They basically... That was another unique thing I liked. The boys were basically formed from people who had worked out, we need to find the weakness to each superhero to work out how to kill them because they're massive bellends and they're going to kill us eventually.
It's mostly people that have had something terrible happen to a loved one of theirs or something like that. It's not totally explained why Frenchie hates them. He obviously hates them for some reason.
Yeah.
Billy we understand, and Mother's Milk we don't understand, but I think it's slightly referenced. Yeah, I think it's referenced maybe once.
Yeah, but they work out basically Translucent's weakness because he's got diamond hard skin as well as being able to go invisible, so they can't shoot him, they can't cut him up, they can't do anything. Yeah. So they get dynamite, shove it up his bum, and blow it up, basically. Yeah. That's how they kill him. And Huey is the one that pulls the trigger because he's the only one in the room. Translucent's escaping, and he's like, if I don't do this, I'm going to die. I'm going to have to kill him. And then by that point, he can't back out. Yeah. He's in it for the long run.
I really like the way that they use like the environment and like to show how Huey was feeling. So
keep your hands clean.
Keep your hands clean. He kept looking at the sign that was like a washing your hands sign with a baby on it.
Yeah.
I don't know, baby. And it kept saying, keep your hands clean in the idea of like, don't get your hands dirty killing somebody. That's in this context.
Yeah, it didn't like shy away from it though. It was like a hidden meaning. No. But then it like literally panned to his face, pan to the trigger, pan to keep your hands clean, pan to the person that he was going to blow up. It was like, it made it obvious. But I really enjoyed that. I was like, it's just funny the way they did it.
Yeah, it showed his like internal moral dilemma without like having a voiceover like, I don't know if I should kill him or not. Or him verbalizing like, having a back and forth between him and Translucent of being like, oh, you don't want to do this because you don't want to get your hands dirty. Do you know what I mean? I sound really northern then.
Dirty. Huey, good.
Yes, so that's his first massive induction into being part of the boys, and then he sways from being like trying to be really good into being like kind of a bit menacing, backwards and forwards, does a bit of blackmail. He's kind of an unwilling person to do these horrible things,
but then ends up doing them really well.
Yeah, and kind of doing them anyway, despite what his moral objection might be.
Like, he ends up blackmailing the highly religious guy who's preaching against gay people and all sorts, and then blackmails him because he actually is gay, and he's got footage of it. Yeah. And that's just more like themes that they really go dark with and go down that path.
Yeah, there's no topic that they've shied away from, or like it's hinted at and then they've not really explored. Like everything is like, oh, we've got a uber Christian showing at least person who's a superhero, and then
yeah.
is basically like, oh yeah, he's gay.
But
And,
they don't like tiptoe around it. They're like, religion, it's a farce.
yes,
Like they even have Billy Butcher like going up to this religious guy and just being like, yeah, God's a cunt.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, okay,
God's
he's
a
gone there,
cunt, mate.
Yeah.
Why? He probably says it in that Australian
God's a
sounding
cunt,
accent.
mate. Throw a shim on the Barbie. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he says. yeah. His accent's so weird.
So weird, but it's fine. It works with his batshit crazy character.
What did you think? Right, so the boys discover a woman who's been captured, or she's in a cage somewhere.
Yes.
And we find out later on that she is probably one of these people that they're trying to make into a super villain, like a super terrorist, as it were. What have you thought of her story arc so far?
It was one of the more obvious storylines that they were telling. Like she was meant to be, oh, is she evil? Is she good? And you were like, oh, well, you know she's going to end up being good, and she's got a tortured background. I think she served her purpose in them discovering that they were taking terrorists and trying to make them super villains.
Yeah. I felt like a lot of her stuff that she was around was only so that she could come and save people in a superhero-y manner against super heroes.
She felt the most. That's what I was. She felt like the most MacGuffin-y, gimmicky.
Yeah.
We need a reason. We need like a cheap way to get them out of this situation.
For sure.
Here she is.
Yeah.
And it was like, she's dead. Oh no, she can heal herself.
Yeah, for sure.
She felt like time travel.
Yeah.
There was no time traveling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Plot device to get them out of the sticky situation.
Huey was in a situation where he came alone to fight versus A-Train, and A-Train was making like, oh, I can't believe you came alone, you idiot. And then Huey's like, I didn't come alone, and then she breaks A-Train's leg out of nowhere. She like, comes in, but it does feel like that feels like a bit of a weak writing point. You know, a lot of her points felt weak. Do you know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah,
that was the one thing that. Oh, if I had any complaint, it was the storyline around her.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. There's so many things that happened in this series. I keep like thinking, okay, we're finishing. Oh no, I've remembered another, like A-Train. I wanted to talk about him for a minute.
Yeah.
They did a whole storyline of him having to live up to his fastest man alive moniker of he kept abusing the drug. He was basically addicted to it.
Yeah.
To keep him going and keep him on top, but then he ended up having a heart attack because he was pushing himself so far.
For sure.
He played a good, unlikable character, I thought.
Yeah, he was just like, he just didn't give a shit about anybody.
Yeah.
Like, he's kind of like the classic never meet your heroes person.
Yeah.
Obviously maybe you see him 5 seconds have a selfie with him, I was totally fine.
Yeah.
But then like Huey met him for an apology because he killed his girlfriend, and he was like, yeah, I'm sorry, man.
And then it turns out that A-Train didn't even remember him when he saw him again. It was like, that's how little he cares.
For sure.
He killed someone's girlfriend and didn't even remember them.
Yeah, for me, he's not evil. He just doesn't care.
He's just a bellend, like a lot of them are.
Yeah. Whereas like Homelander feels specifically evil.
Yeah. But there was so many like little parts of this universe that you kind of like piece together. So the Seven are like the Avengers or the Justice League. And then you've got these kind of like C-list, D-list heroes as well. So A-Train's girlfriend, Grip Hook, was it?
Yeah, something like that.
Popclaw. She had a horrible scene as well. Yeah. Where she like seduced her landlord.
This is possibly the most graphic scene.
Yeah, to get back at her boyfriend A-Train.
Well, and because she hadn't paid her rent. But she ended up killing him, like, in the middle of sitting on his face. Yeah, in the middle of... deathly cunnilingus, as they say.
Rough and tumble. And you literally... His head, like, explodes. And it's just, this is, like, way more graphic than it needs to be.
What's the line? It's like, tell me that you love eating ass. Something like that. So, and then he dies as he's saying that.
I was just like, this is... That was the first... I think my jaw was literally hanging open when that scene happened. I was like, I did not see them going this far.
Yeah.
They're like pushing further than they need to be pushing.
Yeah, it was like they did it so that the boys could have dirt on her so that she would tell them what's going on with Compound V. Yeah. And that was like, that's the biggest dirt you're going to come up with, killing someone via orgasm. Basically,
it was dark. Let's not forget that this program was dark.
What do you think of speaking of weird sex and darkness? The scene where Billy Butcher goes to a like what's it called? It's like an Alcoholics Anonymous thing, but where they're all sat in a circle.
Yes.
And they're all talking about these experiences they've had with superheroes. What's it called? Collateral damage.
Yeah.
You know, it's like people that have been affected by collateral damage.
Yeah.
So it's this one woman talking about how her back got broken when she was saved by somebody.
Yeah.
And she's kind of like talking how she's mad at him, but also like feels like she should be thankful for him because she saved her life, but also like, yeah, she broke his back.
Yeah.
No, he broke her back, sorry. And then there's this passes to this next guy. He's a comedian, isn't he? This guy, where he's telling the story. Like, I mean, a comedian
in real life,
yeah,
not
real
in
life.
the show. Yeah, definitely not comedian in the show.
No, where he's telling this kind of like sad story where he was in love with a superhero who could turn to ice.
Yeah,
and they were having sex, and during her orgasm, she turned to ice, and he was still inside her and went to minus 325 degrees, and his penis snapped off.
They really did. I feel like the writers must have had such fun with being like, let's just think of these ridiculous situations that could arise if this was real.
Yeah.
And they ran with that.
For sure. and then Billy gets up and he's just like, you're all a bunch of fucking losers. Fucking cunt. You're a cunt. You're a cunt for letting you dickless cunt.
That's a very good impression of him.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Although it was definitely Australian and not New Zealand, so anyone that's from Australia, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, now we're returning the favour of butchering other accents.
Yes. Have you got anything else, really?
I'm sure there's a ton of things, but we've rambled on for almost an hour and a half now. So
would you recommend?
100%.
Great. Yeah.
Just not to kids.
Just not to kids. For sure.
Yeah, watch it.
So I think that's about everything we've got to talk about for the boys.
The boys.
Yeah, it's been another good week.
If you want to check us out online, you can find us at twosheepinapool.com. Leave a rating on your podcast app of choice. You can email in at bar@twosheepinapool.com. I think we're due another film that we've not watched before.
Yep.
So any recommendations there? I think that's it.
Thanks for listening.
See you next week.
Bye.